Good morning, executives. How are you?
Good morning, Michael.
Welcome back to our training. I can't wait. This is going to be awesome because last time Leonel did an awesome job on listings, the agreement, and he's going to finish up, and then we have no one other than Mr. Gonzalez that's going to take us on. So it's going to be awesome. So why don't you guys put your hands together for Mr. Leonel Ceballos.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Happy morning, all the way fresh from Phoenix, where is cooler than California. If you can imagine that.
Imagine that.
Okay, about 15 degrees cooler, maybe even 20. Okay, so you want to enjoy some good weather? Take the tent. 5.5 hours, you're good. All right, so. Thank you, Michael. So listing agreement again. Who has a copy of it? Who needs a copy of it? Who forgot their copy that they were giving last week?
I was not here.
Oh my God, she wasn't here. So that's the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this out, make some quick copies. I thought that I was gonna bring theirs, but I wanna make sure you guys follow along. I'm gonna step out right here. Do this.
Make 2, please.
3.
Make 5.
Yeah, no one's waiting. Let's see.
I got it. Oh, pues escribí.
Here we go. All right. So while that is being done, I want to tell you guys that I am personally very excited at the fact that I spent 2-3 days over there with everybody. One, to reiterate the company that we're associated with. The gentleman that owned the company, now he owns it 100%. Last year when we went, he owned about 60 to 65%. And in the last 12 months, he bought the remaining amount of the company. And so we have one sole owner. His name is David Tedesco. There's so much opportunity that this man is putting on the plate on brokerages and also as agents that is really never been done. And you know, he's an internet guy. He owns a company that is for airplanes. You know, basically it's like a Northrop. So he owns companies in medicine. He owns medical clinics throughout the world. Say, for example, that you were going to travel to South Africa. To travel abroad like that, you need an injection for certain things. Okay, to go through that process is going to take you a long time. Or you can call his company, and a nurse will come to your hospital, to your house, and take care of you, and you're ready to travel. That's one of the services he provides. One of the biggest services that I didn't know he had is, jumping stuff for kids. They entertain kids throughout the United States. They have all this amazing company. And I was surprised that a lot of his companies are now international. So it makes sense that Realty Executives being an international company was something that he wanted to do. We are looking forward to next year. When we go next year, I really encourage you guys to go for the purpose of learning from a multi-millionaire and being able to, if you guys don't believe me that he's pretty humble and you can sit down and talk to him, ask Fanny and Maricela and Denise. You're able to sit down and talk to him. You're able to ask him how you can do your business. So not very often you get to do something like that. Okay, it's almost there to everybody get their contract. Everybody got one now?
Yes.
All right, Michael, you got one? Yeah, I'm good. Well, you know the contract. Yep. All right. So let's get started. I think we were in 4, 5A, and what is the MLS? So everybody go to the second page in the middle where it says benefits of using the MLS impact of opting out of the MLS and presenting all offers. So basically, this paragraph or this whole thing explains what the MLS is and what the MLS is not. So one of the things is exposures to buyers to MLS. So that's the first thing. Listing property with an MLS exposes the seller property to all real estate agents and brokers and their potential buyer clients who are participants or subscribers to the MLS or a reciprocal MLS. Okay. Then the next one is closed private listing clubs or groups. So these closed or private listing clubs or groups are not the same as a MLS. So in other words, who belongs to a real estate club?
Everyone.
Wow, Martin.
Everyone. This is the one here.
Okay, so there's several real estate clubs. Michael, which one do you belong to? Because I know you do.
Real estate club?
Yeah.
The real estate
The Investors Club.
The Investors Club?
Real Estate Investors
of
Club.
Los Angeles.
Of Los Angeles. Well, probably one of the largest ones. Actually, Floriano belongs there. Floriano is the one that introduced me to that. And it's just basically big time investors and real estate agents and people from all walks of life. You pay, what is it, $110 to become a member for a year?
No, $495.
$495, okay. And basically, these guys, there's a lot of investors that they want to get rid of their properties. So there is, and I'm going to be very respectful, there's a lot of men in there and women that they're over 70, over 80. And guess what they're doing? They disposing of their properties. So they bring a list of properties that they want to get rid of. Do you think you want to be there? Okay. These deals happened, now granted, a lot of these deals are big deals. 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, but if you know somebody in there, this basically is a move. So basically they go from, hey, you interested in buying this 20-unit apartment? You put it in there. So obviously the reason I'm bringing that out is because they're not going to go on the MLS, which is what this explains. The properties are not going to go on the MLS. So there's other ones. There's another one in Orange County. The Floriano has been invited in. I haven't made it. Floriano, I think, belongs to about 5 or 6 of them. Okay? So if you heard Floriano, oh, thank you for asking. I was just assuming that everybody knows. Floriano Medeiros is a friend of mine, a very wealthy friend of mine, that walks in here in his shorts and flip-flops. And normally he visits me because he goes to Costco. And on the way back, he always stops to say hi. He is just a very wealthy gentleman, made his money, invested money all over the place, in Texas. He was a realtor with me at Prudential about 19 years ago. And he just never really sold homes. He really invested all his efforts in learning how to invest. Something I need to learn from him now. So essentially what he's teaching me. And on that note, about 8 months ago, he came into the office and he gave me about 4 or 5 boxes worth of material of all the courses and all the classes that he's gone to, and he gave them to me. I had them in the office and I'm sending it to you guys. I did not throw them away. If you guys are looking for any particular course, most likely I have it in the garage. I'll be glad to lend it to you, look at it, learn from it, draw a course from it, from taxes to short sales foreclosures. It's in there. Okay, so that's where I am. Okay, and I am going to ask him to pick up a subject if you guys are interested, so he can tell us how he made his money. Okay, all right. So those properties will not go into the MLS. It's closed private listing clubs or groups. Okay. Then the next one is not listing property in a local MLS. If the property is listed in the MLS, which does not cover, so this is very important. If the property is listed in the MLS, which does not cover that geographic area where the property is located, the real estate agent and brokers work in that territory and buyers they represent looking for property in the neighborhood may not be aware of the property, that the property is for sale. So how many, the CRMLS is per big MLS. But if we get a property out in Big Bear, is that a reciprocating MLS?
Yes.
It's not.
It's not.
Is Palmdale a reciprocating MLS? It's not. Okay? Chris, you know, was you familiar with that MLS in LA, which at the time was one of the largest MLS, was not a reciprocating MLS, now it is, right? So if you put a listing in our board, CRMLS, and the property is in Palmdale, what this is saying is that it's not exposing their area. It is exposing in the area where you're a member of the board and reciprocating board that you're a member of, but not in that area. So they are not going to look at it. It's not automatic.
So how do you do to get it exposed? I remember that once I had a listing, I think it was in a Little Rock,
Okay?
and I called, you know, the board that covers that area,
Uh-huh.
and they said that I had to get a membership, something
Yep.
like that. Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that question up, Roberto. So you're not a member of the MLS. So I've experienced, I'm going to talk to you from experience, the Big Bear board, basically, they will charge you, you have to become a member of the board, or they decrease part of your commission. They don't want you, they don't need you, and they don't care. Okay, so if you list a property there and you're not a member of the board, say your commission is 2.5, I think they charge you 0.25 or 0.50 off of your commission in order to have a property in their MLS.
So they're not part of the CRMLS?
No.
They're not, so Spondale and all that area, they're not. So it sounds like what you did, I used to do that in San Diego. The Sandy Core board was not member of the CRMLS for a long time, so if you had a property in there or anything, you paid a certain amount of dollars, like, I don't know, 80, 150, and it allowed you a temporary password, and it allowed you to look at the property and put it in there.
And that's a yearly subscription.
I remember, to me, it was a monthly or 2-3 month permit that I got. Okay, so each board is different. But what I'm telling you is that if you are not a member of the board directly, being a member of the CRMLS the way we are, irrespective whether, and we want you all to be a member of the Rancho board, because that gives us the highest exposure. If you're a member of Downey or any of these boards around here, they're all essentially the same board. It's just that Michael, as a broker, needs to be a member of the central board, which is that board. And sometimes they make it very difficult for us to go get a membership at a different board if Michael is not a member. However, they've allowed it to be easier, right? Okay, so any questions about that? I want you guys to be very clear if you get a property outside here.
Just refer it.
What's that?
Refer it.
Very good point. Very good point.
It's a headache.
All right. Referred it. How far do you want to go? Okay. All right. Of course, then there is opting out of the MLS. If seller elects to exclude the property from the MLS, seller understands and acknowledges that A, real estate agents and brokers from other real estate offices and their buyer clients who have access to the MLS may not be aware that seller's property is offered for sale. B, information about the seller's property will not be transmitted from the MLS to various real estate internet sites that are used by the public to search for the property listing. So, if you're going to exclude a property from the MLS, you guys know what form to fill out. Or you have to literally get a permission from the seller. So one thing is what the seller wants, which you're going to obviously say, if your property is really hot and it has a lot of demand, you probably, if you can keep it off the MLS, that's good. That's a decision you have to make. But you cannot just keep it off the MLS if you have a listing agreement. Your responsibility as a professional is to obviously being a member of the multiple listing service, the CAR, NNAR, is to publicize this property in here. But you don't have to, provided that you exercise the right channels in order for you not to get in trouble. Okay? Then B,
Question again.
say it again?
Question.
Yes, sir.
Talking about lawsuits and stuff like that, when you do that, does the board still take responsibility to pay any of those fees that they cover if you get lawsuits?
I do not understand your question. Rephrase your question.
Because you
for
know
me.
how you're saying that you're taking it off the MLS, right?
You're opting out not to put it in the MLS.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's say a lawsuit comes around and they did that. Is there any,
Protection?
any protection still under?
So I'm gonna hypothetically run a scenario, okay? So you go to the right channel, so seller says, I don't want my property on the market. So you go ahead and send the exclusion to put the property in the MLS. You get that signed by the seller, now you have complete communication. So I'm not gonna give you legal advice, but it sounds to me that if you follow that channel, then most likely you can call the legal hotline and say, I have this particular issue happening, how do I deal with it? Now, if you do not, if you just opted out of your own will, that you don't have the listing agreement dated correctly and the exclusion of the MLS listing correctly, it becomes a date and time problem. So everything has to coincide. Does that answer your question? Because it would absolutely make sense that if you don't have the exclusion signed, then most likely they're saying, where is that? In order for them to answer the question. Okay? All right. C, real estate agents, brokers, and members of the public may be aware of the terms and conditions under the seller is marketing the property. And here is 2 warnings. The first warning to that is reduction in exposure. Any reduction in exposure of the property may lower the number of offers and negatively impact the sales price. And then here is 1. So I'm going to ask you a question. So, do we have multiple offers kind of market right now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, are we, is it our responsibility that we must present every offer?
Yes.
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 Are we doing it?
Oh,
Yes.
yes, you have.
Good.
You
Good.
have.
That's awesome. Okay, here is, when do you stop presenting offers?
When the seller already signed an acceptance.
Never.
Okay, that's 1.
Never.
Huh?
Never. You still.
Never. Roberta, when do you stop presenting offers to the seller?
When the seller says enough, and then either she or he, has decided to go for one.
When? Martin, when do you stop presenting offers?
When the sellers tells you to stop.
Okay? Anybody has a different version? Michael? Huh?
I agree with Martin.
Okay. So, the legal part of that is you must have a written consent from the seller stating that he no longer wishes to review any offers. And
Oh, yes.
the code on that, it is in writing. You must get it in writing that he no longer wishes to view any offers. All right?
So the answer is never. You always-
Never,
Unless you get
have
it
the
in
right.
writing. Unless-
Right.
So you
So
always
let's
present.
say you accepted it, and technically speaking, and this has arisen in several, okay, so when I work at a different brokerage, a very large one over here, yes, we had, how many offices in this area? There were, a lot of offers were being submitted on the same property. And of course, everybody thought they were right, that their offers should get accepted. But they could only accept one. So somebody following the guidelines of the contract was always presenting the offers even after the property went in escrow. Because they never removed that contingency. The seller said no, and this actually went to court. This actually went to court. It was the seller who knew his rights and opened a case against the seller saying, no, was not provided a written notice that you were no longer accepting any offers or reviewing any offers. So that it needed to be in writing. When that was submitted, then it was the seller making that agreement, not the agent. The agent responsibility is to present offers.
So what you're trying to say is that we as representing the buyer's agent, if we see the property is still on the market and we submit offers and it's not getting nowhere, you could actually ask for that letter or for that clause to be in writing. Since I want to see that the seller have already said that no more offers being accepted or seen any more offers presented. No more offers being
So
presented.
how do you get away from that really easily? Think about it. Think about it when you present an offer. There is a section on an acceptance. Go ahead, Virginia.
No,
You want to give her-
my question is, that's something connected that right now we have properties under contract and pending.
What do you mean?
Yeah, because before it used to be or active or pending.
Oh, okay, so
but
now you have
nowadays we
property
also
under
have
contract,
under
or all that
contract.
kind of stuff. So let me tie down to that. There is a section in the purchase agreement when an offer in the seller signs, right in the middle of it, there is a section when either the seller or the legal representative of the seller sign and accepts is initial and dated, and when that is, and it's also can be set in there. So let's say you get 20 offers, right? You're only gonna accept one. What in there you can put rejected, or whatever you wanna put in. I've gotten it, but you can also put your initials, the date, and accept it. So you get an offer, you get a counter offer, and how do you know that? So your buyer accepts the seller counter offer and you send it back. When they signed, it's still not accepted. So if they sign an initial and send it back, guess what? Now it's a fully executed offer. Okay? Everybody got it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and we'll talk about that particular session because it's actually on bold letters, but very few of us use it. And I really encourage you guys to use it. But when you are the one getting it and when you are receiving from somebody else, you want to make sure your offer is actually accepted. Make sure the agent signs and dates it on it and sends it back to you. Now you can sleep peacefully because you got a fully executed offer. All right. So it says presenting all offers. Seller understands that broker must present all offers received from seller's property unless seller gives broker written instructions to the contrary. Written instructions is the very last paragraph on page 2.
3.
Is that no? Page 2. Page 2. Where it says presenting all offers in the very bottom. Okay, so highlight written instructions. All right. Let's go to what is this? 5E. MLS rules generally provide that residential real property and vacant lot listings be submitted to the MLS within 2 days, or some other period of time after all necessary signatures have been obtained on the listing agreement. Broker will not have to submit this listing to the MLS if within the time broker submits the MLS in appropriate form signed and an appropriately form signed by the seller. And here is based on the new contract, you have a check mark in there and it says seller elects to exclude the property from the MLS as provided by CAR form SELM or the local equivalent form. So if you click on that when you're generating the listing agreement, that form will be automatically auto-populated in the back of the contract, not within the contract. Some people think that by clicking on it, it will automatically be included in the contract, and when you send for automatic signatures or anything like that, you actually have to click on that form. By the way, when you click on that form, my suggestion is you go to this form automatically because you have to specify the terms, the times, and the dates. So get familiar with the forms that are included on there. All right. So MLS rules, so 5C allows data to be made available by the MLS to additional internet sites. Unless broker gives the MLS instructions to the contrary, seller acknowledges that for any of the below opt-out instructions to be effective, seller must make them on a separate instructions to broker signed by seller. Specific information that can be excluded from the internet is permitted or in accordance with MLS, with the MLS is as follows. Okay, so if you exclude the property from the MLS, let's say for 5 days, and the 5th day it comes in, how many days do you have to put the property in the MLS? So you got a listing today, and you got a 5-day exclusion. How many days do you have to put the MLS?
On the
2.
6th.
Huh?
Today, huh?
That's 2 days. So the grace period is 2 days. If you get the listing today, you got 2 days to put it in the MLS. If you get a 5-day exclusion, you still have those 2 days. Does everybody
You
get
have
it?
7?
Well, you asked for 5 days. So the 5 days, basically you're saying, I'm not going to put it in the MLS for 5 days, even though I got it right here. Once the day comes in, now you got 2 days. So it's today and 2 more days. So the two days rule is a protection for you as a grace period. So it's not that you got 7. Technically speaking, it's 7 days, but the exclusion is only for 5.
What happened if I had a listing 10 days, 1 week ago?
Say that again.
If you don't
What
put,
happened?
if you don't put it
I
on
don't put it in
MLS,
MLS.
right, within the 48 hours.
Okay, so when you try to input it in the contract, the MLS itself, it tells you, because in the beginning of inputting the listing, it tells you when is the listing agreement, and then it has a cookie in the system, and it says, no, this is the 3rd day. Do you have an exclusion for the 3rd day? Because you have only 2 days.
What if you don't have the exclusion?
Then you gotta go get it.
A new one?
No, you gotta go get the exclusion.
Oh, okay.
You gotta get the exclusion. It would, in other words, the answer to that is the system will not allow you to put it in the system. Okay?
And I just took the seminar they had to become a realtor, and they were talking about that. What's going on now is that they're actually giving you a warning. So they give you 1 warning. And if you still don't do it in 24 hours, they will send you a bill, a fee. Yeah, a fine.
Fine.
So,
And if you still don't do it, the fine gets bigger and then your license gets suspended.
Sorry, Martin.
But that's only if you put a sign on it, right?
no,
No?
no. So who's ever been to,
One more thing, also, if you take pictures of your sign next to your house too, for some reason that they're doing that too now. They don't want any pictures of your information
Oh, yeah.
that you're promoting. I don't know, that's new, but that's what they're talking about it.
that's been there.
Been there a while.
Okay, so here's a fun, very serious question. Who has ever been in front of the ethics committee for the MLS? Who has ever have taken a counseling of the ethics committee for the MLS?
Not yet.
Okay, I got to meet our legal highlight attorney on a personal level. Guess how many people were in this class? This is when I was with Power, by the way. It was more than 100 people on the Power board that were there to get a counseling because they were getting infraction after infraction after infraction. So the MLS doesn't want you to get these infractions, they want you to get it. So before they give you the actual big fine, which is like $900, they actually say, come to this class. since you didn't get this and you didn't get that, come to this class, and they give you this class, and basically, you know, hopefully you don't get it. And I actually haven't got one since I went. I got to meet Girardelli. You know that Girardelli group is the one of the groups that represents the board, and I got to meet him one-on-one. And his number one thing, he goes, I hope you guys keep screwing up, because this is how I take my family on vacation. That is his exact word. Okay? So my suggestion is just follow the rules. Follow the rules. Copying, here's one thing in that, you just remind me. So say, for example, Martin has a listing, and he says, I'm going to do an open house. He'll do an open house, Leonel, and I go on the MLS, and I copy his pictures, and I put it, and I do an ad with his pictures. That is a big no-no. You can publicize the original pictures in the MLS. You cannot copy these pictures and do your own ads. Does that make sense? Or you have to take your own pictures. Because if you didn't know, every picture that you upload in the MLS is automatically branded.
How about conversion? Because you do posting on other people's listings.
So so companies like Conversion and Boomtown and Commissioning and those big companies like Zillow and Trulia, all these companies, they buy the data feed from the MLS. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it runs off everything, the whole thing I'm explaining it to you, back to why. What's the last thing you do when you input an MLS listing? You agree to what?
Share the data
Where?
everywhere.
Everywhere. Specifically where, Martin?
Zillow, Julia, Realtor.com.
Exactly. So do you think that these companies can publicize the pictures?
Yeah.
So they buy the data, they use the same, so imagine you get a listing, your art has sold, you know, your energy and your professionalism, you went and got that picture, that property, you take the pictures, you upload it in the MLS, that's all your efforts, all your money. Now Zillow comes in and says, oh, here's a new listing, let's market it. That's what gives them, the right to market it. They buy the data.
But let's say that you went to the property and took the pictures. So you still have you have your pictures in
Are you the agent, or are you taking a picture from a different property?
No, the agent.
No, if you're the agent, it's that those branded pictures are attached to your license. So you can do whatever you want with them. I'm talking about, remember what I said, Martin, and I'm going to do the open house, and I'm going to be too lazy to go take pictures and all that kind of stuff. I would say, Martin, you have unbranded pictures before you upload it in the MLS. Good, provide me some fronts on the back. They're not branded, because the MLS pictures have an MLS, have a watermark in the bottom right corner. You guys never seen it? Pay attention to that. It looks like a glass. You have to really stare at them, but they're branded.
But in that particular case, you can ask Martin to give a copy of the...
Yeah, or the original pictures. Yeah, that's what I said. You can call Martin and have you give a picture of the original pictures, and you're fine. All right, let's move on. So you got the form. So we go to C, property availability on the MLS. Address on the MLS. Did you guys know that if the seller wants, you don't have to post the address of the property in the MLS? That one is a new one for me. I know there was something to that, but if the seller wishes, he can tell you, you can put my property in the MLS, you can take pictures, video, whatever, but I don't want the property on it. Now, why would he not want the property on it? I don't know, but it's his property, right? So I'm just saying, he can request that. All right, here is the next one.
I don't get it.
Feature opt-outs. Seller can instruct broker to advise the MLS that seller does not want you guys to pay attention to this one very closely. Seller can instruct broker to advise the MLS that seller does not want visitors to the MLS participants or subscribers' websites or electronic displays that display the property listing to have the features below. Seller understands that these opt-outs apply only to websites or electronic displays. of MLS participants and subscribers who are real estate brokers and agents, members of the MLS. 2, that other internet sites may or may not have the features set forth herein. And 3, that neither broker nor the MLS may have the ability to control or block such features on the internet sites. So, when you click in the very bottom when you input the listing, and you click all of it apply, and the sellers said nothing to the contrary, you're definitely okay to do it. But if he give you a direct instruction for you not to do that, then don't do it. Don't click in the very bottom of the listing agreement to input it in the MLS. Okay? And you know, to be honest with you, that's new. It's still an old company. It's truly an old company. They're really not. Not compared to, so this thing in the MLS is not new. I mean, it is new. It's not something that was here before. Okay? All right. We're going to go to A. So comments and reviews. The ability to write comments and reviews about a property on these sites, or the ability to link to another site containing such comments or reviews if the link is in immediate conjunction with the property. Automated estimate of value. The ability to create an automated estimate of value or to link to another site containing such an estimate of value if the link is in immediate conjunction with the property displayed. So, and then you have the form. Seller elects, right there, seller elects to opt out of certain internet features as provided by CIF form SELI or the local equivalent form. Okay, so when it says local equivalent form, because this is the form for our area, but if you put in a property in a different board that is not a reciprocal board, you have to use the form that applies for that board. Okay? All right, seller representations. Seller represents that unless otherwise specified in writing, seller is unaware of 1, any notice of default recorded against the property. 2, any delinquent amounts due under any loan secured by or other obligations affecting the property. 3, any bankruptcy, insolvency, or similar proceedings affecting the property. 4, any litigations, arbitrations, administrative action, government investigation, or other pending or threatened actions that affect or may affect the property or seller's ability to transfer it. And 5, any current pending or proposed special assessment affecting the property. Seller shall promptly notify broker in writing if seller becomes aware of any of items during the leasing period or any extensions thereof. Do you see any reason why you should order the prelim before you take the listing? Do you guys realize that's why? I mean, I gotta give credit to Sean that like he sees any kind of action and he says, "What do you want? You know, like what's going on?" He sees that a property went out on the market, and I've heard him ask. I mean, he asked me, and I heard him asking you, "Do you have the prelim? Do you have the prelim? Do you have the prelim?" So here it is. Is the seller always looking at the prelim? He may get a public notice, he may get a raise the letter and not get it, he may have a private loan or a private lien recorded against the property. All of that is affected in here. But all of that, once it's publicly recorded, it is part of the preliminary title report. So it is very important. Bankruptcy, any kind of stuff that affects the property is going to be recorded, so it's going to be in your prelim.
So just say that once you get the listing, right, or it could be, you could order it prior to getting the listing, or you could order it prior to getting the listing.
Correct.
Even if you don't have a consent from the seller, or you have to mention it to the seller that you're ordering this prelim.
Correct. Correct. So in my opinion, in my process of taking the listing is yes, I'll do the property profile, I'll do the comps, but I am going to ask you for a prelim. How long does it take to get a prelim these days? What's your
One day.
1 day?
1 to 2 days.
2 days?
1 to 2 days.
So order it. You don't have to read the whole prelim, you know, here, let's use Darrell as an example. He buys a lot of investment property. What is the first thing you look at when you buy a property? Condition. You assess the situation, how much money you're gonna put on it. But what is the biggest concern on the property? Okay? And it could be anything. Have you ever been stuck on not being able to purchase a property because there was a lien against it? Yeah, all the time. Okay? So let's pay special attention to that. All right, where are we? 7. Okay, here is our responsibility. Broker and seller's duties. Broker agrees to exercise reasonable effort and due diligence to achieve the purpose of this agreement. Unless sellers gives broker written instructions to the contrary, broker is authorized not to require 1, to order reports and disclosures including those specifics in 7C. So 7C, we're going to jump a little bit. Investigations and reports. Seller agrees to, within 5 days of the beginning date of this agreement, to pay for the following pre-sale reports: structural pest control, general property inspection, homeowners association documents, and it has other. In these cities around here, what's the other one?
Pre-sale reports.
Pre-sale report. What else?
Garage report.
What is it?
Garage report.
Could be a garage report. What else could it be? What I want you guys to understand that if you're gonna, if it comes to a point where we have to follow what's written in the contract and you didn't do it within 5